What's up, people? Welcome back to Conqueror and Commander. Today we're going to be taking a look at my Teysa Orzhov Scion Cleric Tribal deck. This deck was prepared for Heaven and Hell Week over at puremtgo.com, so go over and check it out. I should also put a link to the deck list in the article description as well. I'm still in the process of writing the whole article, but it'll be here nice and neat. First thing you should notice, however, is that there are 41 creatures. This is for Heaven and Hell Week, and what when you think about Heaven and Hell kind of stuff, you typically think of angels and demons. But what I was looking for was specifically a tribe that, or a theme that carried over on both the black and white parts of the Magic color pie, and I found that with clerics. Clerics have a lot, there's a lot of white and a lot of black clerics. The black clerics like to sacrifice things and trigger upon things death, and the white ones tend to do a variety of different things. So you get a whole bunch of different stuff. I went with Teysa because she's the closest to an Orzhov controlled or colored cleric that we have. There are no legendary multicolored creatures out there. So, Teysa also works really well with sacrificing stuff, and there's a decent sacrificial theme in the deck. Before we go any further, I just want to let you know that this isn't like a very hardcore deck. It's not super competitive, although it can bring up difficult to deal with board states, and that's because clerics as a tribe really want you to have multiple clerics on the table at the same time. And, it's hard to have 5 or 6 clerics out there when people play with cards like Wrath of God, which sees tons of play. So, it's difficult, but it can be doable. So let's take a look, first of all, at our first pile here, which is all our various destruction. Now, I did throw in a couple of angels and a couple of demons because I felt like they were necessary for this. And I also threw in the 2 gods that are in these colors as well, because I figured, Heaven and Hell should be adequately represented with cards like Angel of Despair. I'm also running Merciless Eviction. Martyr's Bond is great because you're going to be sacrificing some of your dudes, and it works as a second Grave Pact. Hellfire is a purely thematic choice. If you don't want to run Hellfire, you can run something else. But I actually cast it a couple times, and it did pretty well for me. The life loss doesn't hurt me too bad usually, but it's just a fun card to play with, and people are always not expecting it. Grave Pact, of course, works really well with the sacrificial theme you've got going on. Return to Dust, Wrath of God, Damnation. Soltari Visionary is a cleric that can blow up enchantments and artifacts for, of course, Sanctifiers. Devout Chaplain can actually exile an artifact or enchantment, but again, it requires 2 other humans. And one thing you'll note is that a lot of clerics are humans. Harsh Mercy works well in tribal decks. Withered Wretch is your lone form of, or aside from Bajuka Bog, your lone form of Graveyard Hate. Skursdag Flare, sacrifice human, destroy target creature. Just seemed like fun. Revoke Existence, Path to Exile, Swords Plowshares, Tectonic Edge, and Stripline. Alright, so the Cleric tribe is really good at life gain and at damage prevention. And there's a lot of cards that do one or the other of these things. Obviously, Extort is a form of life gain, so Pontiff of Blight works well here. Vizkopa Confessor, although he costs 5, it's always nice to be able to exile a card from somebody's hand and then end up with an Extort creature. Battletide Alchemist can prevent damage. Doubtless One is a lifelinker. Whipgrass Entangler technically isn't damage prevention, but can prevent people from attacking. Master Apothecary, another damage preventer. Life gain from Cabal Archon. You can occasionally make a decent amount of clerics in the deck, so he's good to sacrifice stuff. And again, having a sacrifice outlet is always good. Martyr's Cause fits thematically and is a free sack outlet, so it's well worth it. Suture Priest is another life gain card. 8.5 tails can prevent damage. Disciple of Gristlebrand will let you sacrifice stuff. Battlefield Medic, damage prevention. Life gain from Auriok Champion with 2 protection. Starlit Sanctum is sacrifice, a way to sacrifice things and to gain some life. And then Core Haven and then Vault of the Archangel are life gain and damage prevention. Now, our card draw options aren't very numerous, but when they are out, they work well. Harvester of Souls seemed like a perfect demon for this. You know, the Heaven and Hell thing, harvesting souls is awesome. Promise of Power, again, you know, sometimes you want that power, you go for it. Erebos is the black god, obviously, and he works to keep people from gaining life and to draw cards when you do gain life. Phyrexian Arena, technically not thematic, needed to be in the deck anyways. Dark Prophecy, however, is kind of thematic, and it was actually good the times that I played it. You know, you do worry a little bit about like getting blown out, and like you just got to make sure you don't overextend. And then Skull Clamp is always good when you're running a bunch of creatures. There is a decent amount of recursion in here. We've got Volrath Stronghold, Phyrexian Reclamation, Oversold Cemetery, Doom Necromancer, Patriarch's Bidding, Sun Titan, not entirely thematic, but I thought it fit. Angel of Glory's Rise actually worked really well because, as I noted before, a lot of your clerics are humans, and being able to actually exile a zombie works well as occasionally, and I liked this angel a lot. Now, we talked about a couple of different sack outlets, but one more that I just didn't want to forget was Phyrexian Tower. Again, it's always nice to have the sacrifice outlets out there. Now, other thematic cards that aren't clerics were included are Death Pact Angel. I'm not going to lie, people, this angel is bad. It is very bad. I think I did have the opportunity to cast it once, and, you know, it's a 5/5 beater for 6, but it did nothing. So feel free to take it out. Demonic Tutor, obviously, is a good card. It's pretty much the only tutor. Well, no, that's not true. I'm also running Academy Rector and Weathered Wayfarer, and both of those guys are tutors. Heliod is your only way to make cleric tokens, and gives everybody vigilance, which is good. And then Angelic Destiny seemed like just a good enchantment overall to have, especially for your clerics that are, you know, aiming to go higher. Now, the rest of the cards are your clerics, and we're kind of messing around a little bit with the rules here. Mirror Entity, of course, helps you pump your clerics when you're going out to try and attack people. Weathered Wayfarer helps you out with your mana. Preacher is good with all your sacrifice outlets because you can just steal stuff over and over again. Frontline Medic is good at countering X spells. Rotlung Reanimator, when you sacrifice your clerics, you get zombies. Sin Collector, you know, again, it's good to be able to see people's hands. Transcendent Master can be good if you fully level him up. I never got a chance to do that in this deck. Nicaea seems like a good way to make your dudes bigger, your team. Mother of Runes provides protection. Vile Deacon can be real big sometimes. Academy Rector searches up Grave Pact or whatever enchantment you need. True Believer is nice for the Shrouds. Gruzdag High Priest, again, requires multiple creatures in play, plus a death trigger. High Priest of Penance. I never destroyed anything with this card, so I don't know what to take from that. Grand Abolisher keeps people from messing around during your turns, and the Edgewalker is just good at reducing the cost of your clerics. On top of that, I've got 37 lands in here. In one game that I showed the video of, I did seem to have too many colorless lands. So if you really want, you could probably take out like Mouth of Ron-Om or Ancient Tomb, maybe even Nykthos. They all seem pretty good, but I only had one game where it was really problematic. Vesuva and Thespian Stage seem like they're more than willing to stick around and stay in there. There's also Tectonic Edge and Strip Mine, which are good. Vault of the Archangel is good. Starlit Sanctum. Yeah, there's a decent amount of colorless lands in here. Phyrexian Tower. So I don't know. You could probably pull a couple of those bad boys out. So the deck is slow. It's real slow. And then, on top of being slow, it doesn't win quickly. And it can lead to some rough board states out there. You can draw a bunch of cards, and you can keep creatures off the table, but it still takes a while to really kill people. So, like I said, this isn't like a super hardcore deck, but it can be decent, and it felt like, to me, it really epitomized the heaven and hell dichotomy. Let's just take a look at some of the clerics that didn't make the cut. Some of these or either too limited, like cleric creatures have vigilance. I didn't need that. I've got Heliod. Ancestors Chosen cost too much. Ancestors Prophet seemed like it'd be good, but you need 5 clerics out there at the same time. A lot of these other guys just don't do enough, and I threw them in my initial pile sometimes. Actually, Devoted Caretaker seemed like it might have made the cut because she's cheap and she can provide protection. Daru Spiritualist is basically a combo card. You run it with an equipment that costs 0 to equip, like Shuko or something like that, and then you can sacrifice it to Starlit Sanctum, but it's just too tough to assemble in a 99 card deck. I considered putting the Dark Supplicant and Scion of Darkness in the deck, but I just ran out of room and I took it out. False Prophet, I didn't want to exile my guys. I'd rather have them in the graveyard. What else do we have here? Nicaeus the Unhallowed only really pumps your non-human guys, and there's a lot of humans in this deck. Monk Realist seemed like it was possible. Noble Templar was possible. I didn't want to destroy all the enchantments because I play a lot of enchantments. But anyways, there's a ton of these guys out there. You could do the Soul Sisters and Soul Warden. Soul is a Tenant and Soul Warden if you wanted to really abuse the incremental life gain. Thraben Doomsayer seemed cool because he would make humans to put on the battlefield, but the Faithful, he just didn't do enough. Witch Hunter seemed funny, but not good enough to make the deck. So anyways, that's the deck. It's interesting to play. It's not my typical deck in that it has a hard time finishing games, and but it does have cards that I never would typically play. So anyways, hope you guys enjoyed that. Thanks a ton.